Hello everybody and welcome to Front Row Racing on this Sunday evening where we're getting ready for round 8 of the Front Row Racing ProjectCARS DTMs here from Brno. Now I appreciate that many of the drivers and viewers may be aware that Fernando Alonso is racing in IndyCar today, but I'd also like to mention that me and James have decided to miss the last 60 laps of the race to be able to put on this broadcast. So James, what have we got to say to the viewers and the drivers as we get ready for this race today?
Well, hopefully it's going to be an absolute cracker, a final race of the season. But yeah, it just shows our commitment to bringing our viewers such awesome action. And this week it's going to be at Brno.
That it is. Wasn't he a character in one of Sacha Baron Cohen's films though? Brno?
Brno. I think it's probably just... I had a U in there, just Brno. Doesn't sound right. It sounds like granola or something like that.
I suppose I really should find out the exact pronunciation of this racetrack. However, I never really have, because it's always fun to see how people do try and pronounce it. Now, you mentioned, James, obviously, I think you mentioned anyway, that it is a title decider today. And it is, folks. We'll get on to the points in a few moments. But, James, the Brno track, is there anything that you want to mention about that? Or perhaps we take this time right now if you want to do a little feature, a promo about advertising for admins still.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll start off with the circuit. Today, what a fantastic circuit. This is probably my favourite circuit of all. Now, that is mainly because it's full of corners. Absolute high speed, medium speed, low speed. You get it all here. I mean, it literally puts your setup to the test. If you can nail it round here and consistently pull out a gap over your rivals, you know your setup is the best. Now, you can sort of manhandle it round there if you've got the talent, but the car needs to be set up correctly. And then, overall, we're going to have a sprint race. This week it's going to be 4 laps, and then the feature race, I believe, is going to be 20. Maybe incorrect.
Yes, I think you are right. I did check earlier.
Yeah.
You are right. I think it is 4 and 20.
So the first race, which will be the sprint race, will have a mini qualifying session of 5 minutes, so all the drivers can bomb out there and try and get a decent grid position for the sprint race. But that's mainly there just so that the commentary team of me and DP can start at the back of the grid and not get in any of the drivers' way. Tyre wear will be set to realistic, so there should be no issues regarding tyre wear in this mini sprint race, 4 laps, and it's pretty much pedal to the metal who's going to come out on top, and then the top 3 finishers from the sprint race are then not allowed to qualify for the feature race, which forces them to start at the back of the track. However, they'll have more points going into the feature race. So the feature race will get underway, and the tyre wear will be set to ×4, and it's all down to who can master the Brno circuit, and it's going to be a hell of a 20 laps round here for the feature race, I think.
That is very, very true. Okay, quick comment about admins. I'll make that while you just make your final checks there. We will send the drivers over to the racetrack as soon as we can, folks, don't worry. And we'll also go through the points and the connotations for today's event. Front Row Racing is still looking for admins to potential admins, people to come forward and say, you know what, I want to take some additional responsibility in the running of Front Row Racing's ProjectCARS leagues. And take on some admin roles, whether that be from hosting the lobbies, to running the league, to broadcasting, to commentating, doing the points, doing the pictures, everything. We basically need people to come forward and say, you know what, I want to be a part of that, I want to do it, mainly because this is James's last commentary as a Front Row Racing person, shall we say, and it's also, James, going to be mine and yours last broadcast, because it is my my last broadcast on ProjectCARS. I mean, the viewers might not know, but I did say to you sort of 2 seasons ago, look, if you want me to come back on and do the broadcasts, I can for a couple of seasons, but that's about as far as I can go. So it is sort of mine and James's last broadcast today, but we do need people to come forward as and volunteer to take up admin roles. Otherwise, there is a major risk of the ProjectCARS side of Front Row Racing sort of drifting away into the ocean, never to be seen again. We have had a couple of applicants that we may be able to put into use, but whether we're going to be able to have people in to sort of run the ProjectCARS side of the leagues and be able to do broadcasts for the DTM racers, that's still something we need. So if you are interested in doing that, this is to drivers of the Fruff Cup and the DTM Cup that we're talking to, or even anybody that is interested in joining the Front Row Racing community, get in touch either via the PlayStation Network community or to Front Row Racing JS directly, or come and find the Front Row Racing Facebook page and drop us a message there, and we shall see what we can get done. But obviously we'd usually take a bit of a break at the end of the season anyway. So to the drivers, we'd say you'd probably be looking at a couple of week break anyway. However, we do need people to come forward as admins, and for someone to say, I'll be happy to host the lobby on a Sunday, I'd be happy to broadcast the event, I'd be happy to commentate on it, I'd be happy to do the points, because at the moment they are key roles that are going to need to be done. Okay, if it can't be broadcasted, that's one thing. Okay, life goes on, but we do still need people to come forward and go, I'll run it, I'll host it, I'll do the points and all that kind of thing. Okay, quickly onto the points as James has a look at what the drivers are doing during this warm-up session. I've got the camera on David Harp at the moment because he is the current points leader in the driver standings, and this is the final round of the season, so it's a title decider, James, where Dave the Harp has got an opportunity to be a Front Row Racing ProjectCARS champion again.
Oh aye, and we know I think the last time he was a champion was in season 3, I believe, in the LMP2 cars.
Yep.
So yeah, that was the last time he was champion. He beat me to the title around the Le Mans circuit, and yeah, on that day I had a bit of a nightmare, and he came away with a win. But we know anything can happen, and if Dave has a bit of a nightmare, Oldman could be there to take up the spoils.
That is true. Okay, so the point standings are as follows. Dave the Harp sitting on 206 points. GBM Oldman is on 172. He's 34 points behind. There's 40 points available from the sprint race and the feature race, so it kind of sits like this. GBM Oldman has to win the sprint race. There's no doubt about it. He has to win the sprint race. If he doesn't, Dave the Harp's champion. If GBM Oldman wins the sprint race, if Dave the Harp scores 1 point or more, Dave's champion. So GBM Oldman needs a miracle. He needs to win the race, and he needs Dave the Harp to score no points. And seeing as we're missing a couple of drivers tonight, that might be a bit difficult to accomplish. But as James has said, anything can happen, and it could. It could. I mean, you don't know if Dave's going to suddenly get disconnected, or he's going to crash and his car's going to end up on the roof and he can't get it. He's stuck. You just don't know. And I mention that because unfortunately he has done that before. So that's the situation at the top of the table. Jason is in third place on 155 points, with Scott McFall closely behind on 139. IELTEL on 126, Kulukutu 102, Dex on 88, he's in a close battle with Adam 4600 on 87. GBM Vectra is on 81. GT Gavin is on 64, and close behind him is Stig V Rob on 61, while Woolhouse is on 28. Dre on 17, RDJ on 16, Mulrine on 17. Mulrine on 11, Dover 440 is on 7, Night Walker's on 7, and Ardington is on 5 points. So that's basically the point situation at the moment. And as James said, there is a sprint race and a feature race. Sprint race winner gets 15 points, and points are scored down to P10. So GBM Oldman needs to win, and Dave the Harp to be P11 or lower in the feature race. More points are available. So James, who's looking quick out there at the moment?
Well, currently Dave the Harp's holding the top spot, but I think the one-off drive from Casely may be going to spoil a few people's parties here. As he's just coming round the final corner, he's just gone fastest in the first and second sector, and yeah, the previous champions turned up, I think, to hand over the crown, but no, he's stopped. He wants to not mess with the title, I don't think.
Yeah, which is fairly understandable. Okay, so it is a warm-up session that is hosted in a qualifying session to put the broadcast team at the back, as James mentioned, but we do have a little bit of a grid order, as you can see on your screen now. So Dave the Arp and Oldman, they're taking to the sprint race side by side for the start of it. This could get feisty into turn one. I mean, James, if you're GBM Oldman, would you be tempted to just give it a little nudge?
Oh, I'd be getting my elbows out, my legs, me everything.
You'd be throwing your helmet at him through the window.
I'd be throwing my dummy at him, and here we go. The lights are out, and away we go for the final time for season 6.
And Eltel? How has Eltel got into the lead? Dave Harp into second, Oldman third. Eltel has either had a jump start or a phenomenal start.
Well, it could be one or the other.
We've got Dex and Jason.
Yeah, Dex and Jason in the background. Jason's coming back on the circuit and whacking him, but Oldman currently in P3. Can he galvanise as Dave the Art's having a look back at ILTEL now? And Casely, he's not too far behind. He's only in P6 now.
Yep, so the reigning... no, he's not the reigning champion, is he? Because Michelin Man was champion. Previous champion of Dave the Arp's got a good run. He's going side by side with ILTEL into the right-hander. He's got the inside line, but Eltel, if he can hang it around the outside, maybe able to carry the speed. No, he can't. Unfortunate for him, but up to first place for Dave the Harp, doing exactly what he needs to do.
ILTEL's looking at a bit of a switchback here. He's trying to come straight back at him as Casely is just watching a little bit of a battle going on for P3.
Yeah, Scott McFall. I think it's Scott McFall and Stig V Rob that were having a little bit of a battle there for fourth place that Casely's keeping an eye on. And just behind as well, Kulakutu getting RDJ a little bit out of shape. Ooh.
Stig's under attack from Casely down in P5.
Okay, Slay, he's going to try and hang it around the outside, but I don't know if he's going to make it work around the outside there, but we know that K-Slay is no slow driver, and he does make the move work. And I must admit, seeing K-Slay back on the track he's coming under attack. Stig V Rob's having none of it. He wants to show K-Slay, okay, you might be quicker than a Porsche, but I'm quicker than a Mercedes, but unfortunately K-Slay is ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, it's nice to see Casely back.
Whoa! Into the pits. It must have been a jump start then.
So that is freed up Oldman into P2. He needs to make sure that he takes the place off Dave the Arp, otherwise he is champion before the feature race.
Yeah, now unfortunately, GBM Oldman, he's only got this and 2 more laps to try and beat Dave, which is the nature of the sprint races, and Dave's blasted away already. But yeah, I was going to say that seeing Casely race on Friday, I know he's not been really racing on the Friday in the Fruff Cup, but he did decide to give it a go, and I think he enjoyed himself. And the footage is available now. It was a really good battle between 5 cars for the lead of that race as well. But it is good to see him back on track, and good to see him back in the DTMs as well, because, I mean, as we know, James, let's put it this way, if Casely had been racing this season from the start, would we be talking about somebody else winning another title?
Quite possibly, but he's having a bit of a struggle here getting through the pack at the moment, currently in P4, which isn't too shabby, but maybe he's being strategic, thinking, you know what, I'll go and win the feature race.
Yeah, could be. I mean, we have seen it this season a couple of times. People sitting in 4th place thinking, I'm happy here, you know, I'll take this place, I'll qualify pole. But I could see Casely possibly not setting a lap time in qualifying anyway, just as he did in that warm-up session there. Let's see, what have we got kicking off a little bit further down the grid? Stig V Rob's dropping off the back of the leading few cars now. RDJ, a bit of space.
Dex is having a little bit of a look at Jason into the final couple of corners.
Yeah, now Dex is a driver. Oh, go on, aggressive move. These 2 guys, Dex and Jason, have both impressed me this season, which means I've just commentators cursed them as they almost go side by side. But yeah, these 2 guys have impressed me this season massively. I mean, Dex has been extremely unlucky, and Jason's been getting onto podiums when, he's running wide though. This may give Eltel an opportunity to attack. No, but it does give Jason an opportunity to stay ahead just. I'm glad that Jason has managed to get himself onto the podium and really improve his driving as Eltel goes for the move up the inside, and yet easily taken place there as Dex decides not to fight it too hard.
I think Scott has really impressed me in P3 throughout this season. He's really improved, but he looks to be under attack now from Casely.
I think GBM Oldman may be closing that gap into Dave the Harp. You know, the only problem is there's only a couple of laps, lap and a half left for GBM Oldman. But I do think that for GBM Oldman, he needs to go and get ahead of Dave the Harp and win the race. As Caseley's attacking Scott McFall now, side by side they go, and that is Caseley into third place. And I wonder if that's Scott just thinking, I don't mind you having third because I can qualify now.
Yeah, but Casely has shown that he's been able to mince his way through the pack so far, and it's not been too much of a struggle for him, even though his car does look like it's been through Afghanistan.
It must only be on your screen. On mine it looks quite clean.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
On one side it looks clean, other side it looks like it's been attacked by a rhinoceros or something.
Fair. Do they have rhinoceros? No, rhinoceros. I can't even say it. Do they have rhinoceroses in Afghanistan?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's just like.
Yeah, I think we end that conversation there.
I think we need to end it. Yeah, because it's going to end up. We're going to end up with complaints, I think.
So. Let's see, Kulakutu running in 10th, Drake running in 11th for the moment. We'll get back up at the front though, because Dave the Harp is on to the last lap of the race. Quickly just show the grid order. And obviously there are a few drivers missing tonight. Last week's feature race winner, Adam 4600, not here for the sprint race. Night Walker, GT Gavin 2, GBM Vectra, all drivers that have missed this race. And it could be that they're watching Fernando Alonso at Indy, but what I would have said there is, okay, fair enough, but that's where sending a message and saying sorry guys, not available tonight would be massively useful, because then we can make sure we contact people to get them in. But
sorry, I've just got to cut you off as ILTEL's looking really feisty, and I'll let you know how it's going on up at the front.
Okay, well let me know when Dave's heading up to the final couple of corners. Eltel is trying to attack RDJ, and if he could get through, it would be an extra couple of points for him. I don't know if he's going to have the straight line speed though. No, RDJ's too quick for him in a straight line. So Eltel's going to have to hold on for the moment. No, he has a look. RDJ has a big twitch, goes wide. That's Eltel through to the lead.
And Dave the Harp is just heading up to the final couple of corners, which is perfect timing.
And I can't believe you didn't pick up on what I just said there, James, so I'll say nothing else. So Dave the Harp in the lead, comes up to the final corner now. He is going to take the victory here in the sprint race, and that will crown him as...
And the title.
Yeah, it will crown him as the DTM ProjectCARS champion. So congratulations to him as we watch the rest of the field start heading over the line. Stig V Rob 5th. Eltel, that move, it ended up being a move to put him into 6th place. RDJ 7th. Jason 8th, Dex in 9th. I think that little bit of contact between Dex and Jason at the start sort of compromised their races massively. Kulakutu in 10th place and Dre in 11th. But yeah, for Dave the Harp, it's a short sprint race that a little bit non-exciting for him, but has done exactly what he needed to do. Crowns him as the Season 6 champion in Front Row Racing ProjectCARS. So congratulations to him.
But yeah, I think we all wanted something to kick off there just to keep it going into the next race, but everybody can relax now. Everybody knows that's it, the title is over, and they can just absolutely go for it now and just really see it as a bit of a got nothing to lose, might as well just have a bit of a nice battle.
Yep. I mean, for Dave the Harp, he can approach the next race without a care in the world. It doesn't matter if he crashes, it doesn't matter if he finishes, but something tells me he's going to want to win that race.
Aye, but he's going to have a fair challenge, I think, from the rest of the pack. I think in that situation, we're going to see maybe a few curse words, and we never know. We know that the weather is very unpredictable, and anything can happen.
That is very, very true. Okay, while James gets the new lobby set up and invites the drivers in, you never know, may find that some of the drivers that weren't able to make for the sprint race are also now available as well. But we'll find out. And just, give me a shout when you send me an invite, James. Just say a quick hello to all of the viewers. I have got a kind of question of the day for you. And I know what the answer is. And it's the answer that I'm going to go with. And it's not much of a special question of the day, but it's quite a simple one. And that is Fernando Alonso, right? He's racing at IndyCar today. We all know that. Now, me and James, we were sat there watching Fernando Alonso driving around in IndyCar. And the question of the day is, what lap did we stop watching so that we could broadcast this? Now, I'm not going to ask James for his answer because he should know he was watching. I know what lap it was on when I stopped watching, because I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back a few more laps when I go back to watch it later. But that's the question of the day. What lap number was the IndyCar race on when me and James stopped watching? So if you want to have a crack at the answer to that one, pop it onto the YouTube comments. But yeah, as I mentioned, a quick hello to everybody there. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for taking the time to watch. Quick mention as well that obviously, as we mentioned earlier, Front Row Racing ProjectCARS is still looking for people to come forward as admins to run the ProjectCARS side of things, hosting the lobbies, doing the points, sorting out the drivers, everything to do with the ProjectCARS side of things, and we do need people to come forward. Ideally, we'd like people that are perhaps drivers on the Friday that aren't available or don't want to race on the Sundays, don't like the cars or whatever. It would be useful if it was Friday racing people that were available to either host or broadcast or do the commentary on the Sunday races, and vice versa, people in the Sunday races able to do commentary and broadcasting and running the Friday events. Although, having said that, Casely One has done a fantastic job over the last few months of sort of running the PlayStation, the Friday side of things with its with the PlayStation Network community, and finding new talents and sending them through to the Sunday side of things as well. But yeah, if you're interested in getting involved as an admin, come and find us and get in touch.
Indeed, just let you know, an invite has been sent. As we were saying,
just hang on a second, James, sorry. While I'm on a blue screen, no one's able to hear you. I apologise for that. So I could have just sat here and let you talk, but no one would have heard you, which would have been a bit cruel. Okay, well, so I am with the lobby now. So yeah, what was it you wanted to say, James? Sorry.
All I'm going to say is, even if you don't really participate and you just enjoy watching the broadcast and think, you know what, I can do a better job than Front Row Racing JS, I want to do it. Just put your hand up and contact us, and just let us know you've got the exact equipment, and we'll run you through it. It's really one of them situations where if we don't get anybody coming forward, unfortunately, we may have to say goodbye to ProjectCARS, and we do not want that to happen.
No, I mean the viewership and the interest of drivers has been very, very good. I mean it is going to take for people to come forward and say, you know what, I appreciate everything that you guys have done. They don't have to say that, but it would be nice. And now I'd like to help out. Like I say, even if it was just a case of someone coming forward and saying, you know what, I'd like to host the lobbies and do the points. So okay, fair enough. At least that's something. But we do need people to come forward, because after today's event, James is not available to do any more sort of the running of the ProjectCARS side of things, or doing the broadcasting and commentary due to work, and I'm in a situation where it's time I have some time to myself. So doing the broadcasting side of things is out of the window after this event, unfortunately. So yeah, it is going to take for people to come forward and say, you know what, I'm willing to take it on.
Well, another thing we should mention as well is a lot of people have tested the water and said to us, will we have control over running the league, or have we got to do exactly what you say? And we've said if you're prepared to come along and run the league, you've got a lot of control over the format and how it's run, really.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I ever sort of really emphasise to anyone coming in as an admin is that perhaps there is a sort of an FRR way of doing things, or trying to do things. So there is a level of responsibility that people need to have. I mean, for example, if someone sat there effing and blinding on a broadcast, then yeah, that's not going to be very good. Which is why, I mean, I'm surprised that actually, James, I mean, me and you've done a lot of commentaries, and I don't think we've sworn once.
Well, if I have sworn, I've always apologised straight after.
Or you've not even noticed you've done it. Now, one thing I will say is, viewers, if you're sat there watching this and watching IndyCar, don't you dare put any spoilers up. Anyone that puts spoilers up that races in Front Row Racing, I will ban you.
You know right now all you're going to get is spoilers.
Oh yeah. Probably most of them fake as well. But yeah, I mean, for Dave the Harp though, I mean, a fantastic race. I mean, actually, having mentioned that, a quick while you're sorting out the drivers, I'll perhaps have a quick mention of all of the drivers that have raced in ProjectCARS this season. Perhaps, I mean, this isn't something that we've prepared at all, it's just something I'm going to sort of do. Okay, Dave the Harp, he's had a phenomenal season, absolutely outstanding, especially in the early stages, winning so many races, a real sort of dream come true for him, and really good to see. GBM Oldman had a rough start to the season, but he switched it around, he turned it around, and he put himself into the title fight. Really, really good to see from him. I think maybe he's been working a lot or practicing a lot with Dave the Harp, which has really helped Oldman come on and pick up his pace, which has been fantastic. Jason, he's had one of his best seasons in Front Row Racing. It's as simple as that. When it comes to ProjectCARS or F1, absolutely phenomenal. Multiple podiums, was in the championship fight. The only thing he's lacking is a win, and there's only one other person other than Jason I would really want to have won a race, and they did last time out at in the feature race. So Jason has had a great season. Scott McFall, he's been an interesting one really, because he came into DTM quite new at the start of the season, and he showed a little bit of that newness, but as the season's got on, his pace has got better and better, and he's been there or thereabouts for podiums and also potential victories. I know the weather has caught him out a few times as well, but he's had a very good season. ILTEL, fantastic story for him. Started off as a reserve driver, had a few reserve events, was doing very, very well, and then confirming, yeah, he deserved a permanent seat by taking race wins. Great drive from him this season. Kulukutu, it doesn't matter what you say about him really, he's interesting to watch. Whether he makes mistakes or not, you know something's going to happen around him.
I think the phrase that jumps to mind for me is unpredictable.
Oh yeah.
But when he's on form, he's very much a contender.
It's a little bit like Montoya when he first come into F1, isn't it? It's like, okay, who's this guy? Oh wow, he can over that. Oh wow, he can drive. Oh wow, he can also do that. Okay, should we have a replay of that? But he is very unpredictable, like you said. Very interesting person to watch. Dex, as I mentioned in the sort of warm-up session, he has improved and he's been unlucky. He's a very, very quick driver, a really quick driver, and he's someone that could have had wins this season, and unfortunately bad luck has made it so he hasn't. I mean, if he continues on the growth that he's had, he could get wins and could do well in future seasons. Adam 4600, for me, it doesn't matter what his season has been like. He won the feature race last time out. That, for me, is more than enough. Absolutely great stuff for him. I'm very proud of him getting that victory. GBM Vectra, I think he's had a bit of an up and down season. I think he's had a very tough season, if I'm honest, and I think he'd probably say the same for himself. So middle of the table, can't really complain too much, but he has got a lot of potential to also do a hell of a lot more, I feel. Let's see who else is next on the list as I just try and get the TV monitor sorted out. to somebody going out on track. RDJ going out on track. So GT Gavin 2. An interesting one. He's had some very good races this season. Okay, something very odd seems to be going on my screen, I think. Either that or just nobody is going out on track. There we go.
I've got ILTEL on circuit currently.
Okay, well, I've got camera on Scott McFall at the moment. It just looked like cars were moving about a little bit in the pit box, so apologies for that, folks. GT Gavin 2, an interesting season. I mean, he's had a couple of races where he's really given it everything to get on the podium. And I think tyre wear has really done him in the last few races, which has been a bit of a shame. Let's see, Stig v Rob, another new guy along with Scott McFall this season, and I don't know if he's perhaps found it a little tough to make that step up. From what I gather, he was very similar on pace to Scott McFall, but making that step up from the Friday events to the Sunday events has perhaps just added an extra little bit of difficulty that Scott McFall has progressed well with, and perhaps Stig v Rob has had a little bit of misfortune with on that one, but potential is there for the future. Woolhouse, early part of the season, very exciting to watch, great chances for podiums, but unfortunately has been AWOL for the last 3 or 4 races, which is a massive shame. Dre 6181, not done a lot of races and only recently realised that you could use DRS on these cars, James. I didn't know if you know that.
Just a weird one. Just got a message from Scott McFall saying, won't allow my vehicle to change settings. So
do you want to reset the lobby?
We may want to just reset the lobby, but I didn't believe that default settings was on, because we had no messages in the first place. But just double check with I'll just jump out of the and I'll reset it up, because I don't want to send drivers to the circuit if they can't change anything.
Okay, so it gives me a little more time. So apologies, viewers, for that one. We'll just make sure that we've got the lobby settings correct. So yeah, I was mentioning about Dre. He was very new to the DTMs recently, and wasn't aware that you could use a DRS wing. And one of the things with ProjectCARS, there isn't an automatically assigned button to a steering wheel or a controller for DRS, so you wouldn't naturally know about it. But yeah, now he knows about it. Maybe I have to have a little bit more straight line speed. RDJ coming as a reserve driver, and still technically is a reserve driver, but has been improving over the last 3 races, that's for sure, and the more he practices in the car, the better he will get. I mean, he showed in that sprint race just then he has got some ability to fight for positions. Mulrine only did a couple of races, unfortunately, but a very talented driver. Dover 440 fought for the title in the Fruff Cup on Friday. Looks a very handy driver from what I've seen on the Fridays. He has had 1 or 2 reserve drives on the Sundays. I'm not sure if he's available for this one tonight, but yeah, a very talented driver, and I think if he was given a permanent seat on the Sunday events, could potentially fight for the titles. Nightwalker, next in line, fairly new to ProjectCARS in general, but someone that we've known for quite a long time, and actually had a very good race, I know, at Silverstone up against Dre and a couple of others. So yeah, it seems to have been getting on with the game quite well.
Just to let you know, DP, I've sent you another invite.
Okay, I shall come and jump in now. So yeah, just as James panics and make sure that he's got his lobby settings set correctly. It's easily done though, isn't it? Just like it's easily done that Dre accidentally wasn't in the lobby when he was trying to broadcast a race. And last on the champion standings is Ardington, who popped in for a couple of reserve drives. I've known him for a long time, very good driver, given the opportunity to spend a bit of time in the car and do a little bit of practice, but unfortunately hasn't been around for the last few races. But yeah, it's someone I would definitely like to see on the grid again. Okay, so as we wait then to get the drivers back in, yeah, I was seeing on YouTube James Queso saying that default setup was on. Yeah. So yeah, apologies to to the viewers for that one. But it does mean, Dre, that when you watch this back, at least you can go, well, at least we didn't have default settings on. But it is easily done, and it is Sunday, and we have given up a lot of time to have missed a lot of special things to put on these shows, but it has been worth it. I'm going to miss you, James. I'm going to miss you.
What's that, yeah. No, well, it must be a bit of a weird glitch, because the settings should have carried over from the first lobby, but it's like as if it's remembered the Friday lobby settings, so a bit of a weird one. But
yeah, very
should have double checked though.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay, so we're going to be getting ready then for the feature race. So we've got a 10-minute qualifying session, then a 5-minute warm-up session, and then a 20-lap race around the Brno circuit. Which the top 3 drivers from the sprint race are not going to be able to qualify, which is good stuff for us, because it means the fastest guys from the sprint race have got to fight their way through the grid. But we have already confirmed that Dave the Harp is Season 6 ProjectCARS champion in Front Row Racing, so congratulations to him for that. And I've got to say, the way he's driven this season, definitely the most deserving out there for it.
Yeah, like I said, the way he drove in that first half of the season, nobody could touch him. He was winning both sprint race and feature races, and it wasn't until latter half of the season where, yeah, he could go easily win the sprint race, but when it came down to the feature race, people were really stepping up in terms of pace. We are just missing out on Dex. It just appears to have just popped offline. Once he's back in, we will get straight off. Apologies once again to the viewers.
Okay, I was just going to quickly mention, James, well, if there's any of the other reserve drivers that may have been around, if you want to send them invites, if they want to are able to get in for it, that'd be good stuff. I mean, something that I was talking to Casey a little bit about the other night was, I did mention to Casey, I did say, Casey, are you looking at like continuing on a little bit with the Friday sort of froth cup, so to speak? It says possibly, yeah. And so, well, would you change the car? I was like, oh, could do, I suppose. I don't know. I says, oh, I know what car you could use. And I suggested that radical race car, James.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And there was somebody else in the chat party. I think it was Adam 4600 was in the chat party with us at the time. And Adam straight away went, yeah, that's a really cool car, that. And it is. So it would be interesting. I mean, I'd probably be tempted to have a blast in them. But yeah.
Right, so double check the settings there are correct. Dex doesn't appear to be online. He's been sent a couple of invites.
I'd give him a couple of moments. I know it means us taking a bit of time, but he was online, so we might as well see if we can get him back in, because I'm sure if he's just been disconnected or something, he's going to be sat there panicking like mad. We're like, Mum, get off the internet! You've just made me crash. But hopefully he'll be able to come back in. So I suppose we've got a little bit of time, James, to waffle. What should we waffle about this week?
Well, can you believe it's all coming to an end? Commentary. We did the last F1 commentary last Wednesday, which was for the World Championship. But yeah, unfortunately, work calls, and it is a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. I would like to continue, but unfortunately just not going to have enough time, and especially just even running the league itself is not too much of a headache. It's mainly just spending time making posters and like I say, taking time out every single week to commentate. It does take its toll a little bit, and that's why we were saying if we wanted admins to come forward, it's better. The more the merrier, really. The more people we can depend on to make it a little bit more leaner, and then you can have different people coming in and out, and each week it just keeps it fresh. That would be nice, but unfortunately we've only had a few people come forward, so we do need a few more people to step up and say, I'll take on the challenge, and hopefully with more people being available, it won't become too much of a burden for people.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that I've always wanted to try and get to a point to be able to do, where there is more people doing stuff. I mean, like I said, the ProjectCARS side of things, I wasn't meant to be doing any of it anyway. But out of the 6th season, I think I've run 4 of them, broadcasted all but 1 season, and it's like, I'm not meant to be doing this. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Yeah, people they want to do the racing side of it, and that's cool. But hey, you know what? So do I. I mean, I've had a couple of people recently that are fairly new to Front Row Racing saying, "Dave, do you ever race?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Obviously, you don't know that I have raced in Front Row Racing for a number of years now, but there you go. So it looks like Dax hasn't been able to rejoin us, but hopefully he will be able to join us during the qualifying session.
Well, currently we know that Casely, Oldman and David Hart will not be allowed to qualify, so they're not going to be out there, but Jason's wasting no time at all in his Banana Man livery, and he's probably he's run quite well this season, as we've said, and he's definitely one for snatching pole.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a contender for it, as I said, Dex would be as well, and Scott McFall. I mean, we can't discount him for a potential pole position here in Brno.
Yeah, he was running quite well in that sprint race. I think he was running 3rd for the majority of that until Casely came along and ruined that for him. But he may be able to maximise his points, and if he's really consistent, he could come away with some very, very decent points, as he's just continuously improved this season.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just wondering, James, I can't remember exactly where Jason finished in that last event, but I'm just wondering if GBM Oldman has potentially secured 2nd place. I know GBM Oldman finished in 2nd place in the sprint race, which would have been a 12-13 point haul for him, but I think Jason finished 8th. So I think the gap might be big enough that Oldman is secure now, but it also might be a case that GBM Oldman, if he happened to score no points and Jason won here, Jason might be able to jump him.
Well, the gap was, it was 17 points difference. I'm just trying to remember where Jason finished. I'll bring that up and let the viewers know.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, Jason is just about to start his first flying lap of the proper qualifying session now. So here we go then, heading up towards turn 1, and turn 1's an interesting corner because it's such a long turn. There's so many different lines you can take around this corner, and Jason taking a very late entry, and I'm guessing he would have wanted to have got to the apex of that corner, but he was absolutely nowhere near it, but taking the wider line may have allowed him to carry a decent amount of speed. Now it's a short dash towards turn 2, and a hard-ish braking zone. You want to get the front end really tucked in, compromise the exit to open up the next corner, which Jason has done beautifully here, although he's had to lift off the throttle a bit. I don't think the front end is quite gripping for him like he would want to. Little run down the hill now, and another short, sharp braking zone, and a corner that just falls away from you and then continues to fall away from you again as it gets tighter and tighter. Again, compromise the exit to open up the left-hander. Jason, he's definitely struggling with the front end of the car. He's not gathering up these apexes at all. Now we're into a short left-right chicane, and again giving the apexes a nice wide berth, perhaps trying to avoid the tyre little bundles as well, but at the moment it will be a provisional pole position lap for Jason, because I think he's going to be the first to set a time. And then again, a downhill braking zone into another corner that falls away from you, and these corners that fall away from you all the time just cook the outside front tyre. Up the hill, left right chicane, nice set of corners, can overtake here if you're confident enough. but your run through this right-hander is going to dictate whether you are going to be attacking or defending into the last 2 corners. But it's looked like a fairly okay lap for Jason at the moment, James.
Yeah, a lot of this circuit, there is a few quirks to it. He's just running through the final corner now, and he looks to have nailed that. But yeah, as he runs over the line, we'll see what his provisional pole time is going to be. 1:55.9. Turns 11 and 12 as you, turn 10, which is the off-camber downhill section. Very, very long right-hand corner, which, as you said, does cook the tyre as it's off-camber. And then 11 and 12 is very, very technical. I'll just see who we've got currently running through that section, if we have anybody at all.
Scott McFall has just taken pole position with a 1:53.8. Eltel is second with a 55.5.
That's very nice indeed. So, I'm just trying to see who we've got. Oh yeah, Dre, yeah, he's just heading down there. So he's just heading through turn 10. Yeah, cooks the front left tyre. Oh no, sorry, I'm completely got perplexed there, and the circuit looked very different. It's currently running through turn 7.
Can you tell it's Sunday evening?
Yeah. Where's me coffee?
Someone said to me the other day, we should do the last broadcasts of the season, like the F1 season, drunk, and I was like, no. Yeah.
Well, the F-bombs will be flying. As he's now running down to turn 10, which is where I thought he was earlier, off camber, and as you say, it cooks the front left, but then you want to really brake early for turn 11, which is coming up to, because you want to be as far over to the left-hand side to open up the next corner, which is sort of gone in a bit deep and left the car's width on the table. Plus, another thing which the drivers could learn running through turn 12 is if they short shift there and kill the wheel spin, it just gives you extra tense in the pocket. Dre's going for a lovely spin. And that's not the way you want to end your lap.
Yep, and that may be a bit of a downshifted too soon, locked the rears, and away the rear end went.
Kalu Kutu is just coming up there. I think he's going to show us how to take that corner. Running very tight against the apex, which is very nice. But then he's gone in a bit deep. He's had to brake to get the front end turned in. And the last thing you want to be doing is braking. And then he's gone back to the pit lane. So obviously didn't think that lap was good enough.
Are you sure? I'm still riding on board with Kulakutu at the moment. As he's heading through turn 1.
It's a lovely camera work, apologies for that.
The fantastic ProjectCARS cameras that show you the pit lane when the car is actually still on the track. But having said that, I'm pretty sure this is a track where it just had me looking at a mountain for a few minutes in the previous season.
Yeah. Well, that's the race directors for you here in Brno.
Yeah. Well, Kulakutu is a couple of seconds off the pace at the moment, but I tell you what, he's clipping these apexes quite nicely, and he has continued on for another lap. And I do want to see how he goes through the sort of that turn, sort of 10 onwards complex you were talking about, James. Because we could see that while riding on board with Dre, he didn't compromise his exit of one of the corners, which gave him a tighter run through the next corner. So riding on board with Kulakutu, he's coming up to one of the left-right chicanes now. Let's see, he gets it right in on the apex. Doesn't really compromise his exit. He's off throttle a lot there. That may be where he's just losing a little bit too much time. He'll be better off keeping a slightly tighter line, but he is running in 5th at the moment. But James, you may want to keep an eye on those guys that are sitting up near the front at the moment to see if they're on track and improving. As Kulakutu is now heading up towards the uphill left-right chicane. Let's see how he takes that. Yeah, that's going to give him a tight and a big lift off the throttle. That is where he's losing a lot of time, and that's what we're on about with compromising the exit of a corner. You compromise the exit of one corner to open up the next corner so you can go through it almost full throttle.
Altel's just running through there, and he's also gone deep through turn 11, which is compromise 12, and the last thing you want to do is compromise a corner which then leads onto a decent straight. You want to make sure that it's all about traction and decent straight line speed, as that is where you're going to make up most time.
That is true. Scott McFall, he improves his lap time by 0.2 of a second. IELTEL, he's in second place at the moment, coming up to the finish line now. Can he do anything about it? Yes, he does. Polar 153.3. Kulakutu's in the pits, Jason's in the pits, RDJ's in the pits, Stig V Rob goes 6th, Dre in the pits. I think that's everybody in the pits. It is.
So IELTEL snatches it at the last with his final lap, and he's gone 2.3 tenths quicker than Scott. So IELTEL showing once again why he's made the jump from reserve driver this season, spotted by Casely, and he's here for the last feature race of the season. He's took pole position.
That is very, very true. Okay, James, during the warm-up session, you might receive, perhaps send another invite to Dex, see if he's been able to get back online yet. He may have sent you a message as well. Okay, there's only 8 seconds left of the qualifying session, and the car has gone out, but they're not going to be able to go anywhere because the qualifying session is going to come to an end now, and it is a fantastic result for IELTEL. Scott McFall takes second place, Kulakutu third, Jason fourth, RDJ fifth, Stig V Rob 6th, Dre in 7th, GBM Oldman in 8th. GBM Oldman, David Harp and Casely all not allowed to qualify because of finishing on the podium in the sprint race, and unfortunately a few drivers missing tonight, meaning that we don't have a full grid, which is a massive shame. So, drivers then getting straight out on track. Dave Harp, GBM Oldman, straight out there. We mentioned a little bit, James, that for Dave the Harp and even for GBM Oldman, they can approach this race now with no stress, no pressure. They can just go and enjoy themselves, can't they?
Exactly. This is all about, well, if you've got some talent, you may as well go show it. A bit like Casely's just been called up at last minute, help fill the grid out, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot of fun out there.
That he will. Although I do know you enjoy. I think you enjoyed watching him having a bit of an off on Friday. I was watching a little bit of Dave the Harp's footage and listening into you guys. It's always interesting to hear you do that exact noise, that cheeky chuckle.
Yeah, and you may have heard me and Dave doing Top Gun references throughout that. So if anybody wants to watch Dave the Art bombing round with the rear camera, which I don't know how he drives like that.
Neither do I.
Yeah, it is. I cannot understand it. If I'm in a car, I want to sit in the cockpit. I do not want to be on a crane about 4 metres above the car.
No, I mean, I'll show the view for the viewers. Dave Harp somehow drives on this camera angle. There is no way in a million years I could do that. The thing is, I think the only reason he does it is so that he can get a perfect view around the car of any cars that are near him, which I can kind of understand that. It can allow you to have a little more spatial awareness, or if people around you are not being very spatial aware, you can compensate for it. So I can understand it, but I couldn't do it myself. I do know there was people in the Front Row Racing F1 leagues a few seasons ago that one of the things they used to do was start the races on that camera angle so that they could have that all around the car spatial awareness, but once they got around the first couple of corners, they did change the camera angle to one that they race with. Personally, I didn't like doing that, and I also de-assigned a change camera button so that you'd never accidentally press it and be on the wrong camera. But yeah, how David Harp does it, I don't know, but can he save it? No, he can't. You might be the champion, but you can still spin it like a donut. Oh, sorry, I mean, you can still do a donut when you spin it.
It's coming on just in front of Dre, but yeah, good. It's a good job for him. He's probably just testing the limits now, just thinking, you know what, do a bit of a Schumacher, just test what these curves will do if you really do push the limits.
We see he could really have styled that out and gone in to do a couple of celebratory donuts. You know, one of those things. You know, like when you trip over a curb or something, and you're like, I meant to do that. You turn it into a bit of a jog.
A jog into I'm just tying my shoelace.
Yeah, either that or it's okay. I'm just having a close-up look at this pavement. It's hard, and oh yes, it's got some blood on it. That's from my nose. But yeah, I would have tried to have started that out, I reckon.
Casely's doing his classic testing the starts. I think me and him were testing out the best way to do a start without jumping, and it is quite good actually to practice a start, because there can sometimes be about a few milliseconds where the car is just engaging the wheel spin, and that is time that can be really saves. I've got a lovely camera angle of some people all stood around on phones, arms crossed, binoculars, lady with some boobs out, and it's all kicking off down there. And he's a marshal, he's not looking at the circuit, he's looking at that lady.
This is where the viewers go, where? On
Casely's camera, I'm currently experiencing. Oh, he's back in view now. The cameraman has focused on the cars, not the ladies with the strapless tops.
Fair enough. So 20 seconds left of the warm-up session, and we're going to get into the final feature race of the season. It's been a short season, but it's felt like a long season in many ways. Yeah. It's been an exciting season, that is for sure. It's a shame that the championship battle hasn't been able to continue on into the feature race here, but it's not going to take away our excitement from it. And if it sounds like me and James are not as happy and cheerful as usual, it's probably because we're old, we're tired, and
we're all tired, and we're depressed that we're never going to be. Well, we might, because we don't know when we're going to be back in the commentary box together.
That is very, very true. Maybe we'll have to just do some kind of live show of absolute waffle. Just come on, go, right, what should we talk about today? I know, waffles. But anyway, we're about to get ready for the start of the feature race. The lights are coming on. The driver's going to make that short run down towards turn one, which is exactly what they do. And Scott McFall, he's had a good start.
He has a very, very nice start. So current running order as a run through turn one. Scott McFall P1, Kutu just been overtaken by ILTEL round the outside.
Oh, Jason into the gravel, dips a wheel into the gravel, that's compromised him in the background. But RDJ, he's now up there trying to attack Kutu for third place. And is that GBM Oldman? It is GBM Oldman up to sixth place already. Oh, and RDJ spinning, gives Casely a tag, and now Casely's gone.
Oh no, Casely will not be impressed with that, and Oldman did the outside by side, and Oldman's just jumped into P5.
Yeah, this is definitely a race where GBM Oldman's going to be like, I'm beating you, Dave. Oh, but I'm going to go wide at this corner first. I'm going to beat you, but I'm going to go wide here. But yes, I think GBM Oldman may feel like he's got something to, not prove, but he wants to show Dave that it's not all been plain sailing.
Dre's just been overtaken now by Jason. Jason just jumped himself into P7 and down in P10. Casely's a fair way back now.
Okay, Scott McFall leading the way though, with ILTEL right behind him. I could see these two having a fantastic battle throughout this race, although Scott McFall's just ran rather wide. That's going to give ILTEL an opportunity. Let's see how they get on through the left-right.
Looks to me as well in the background like Oldman is just getting up behind Stig v Rob, and Dave the Arp's also trying to do a switchback. He's going for it up the inside of Stig v Rob. There's Dave the Arp, and Oldman's already through into P4.
Well, just going to show why they've been fighting it out for the title. Scott McFall definitely coming under pressure, missing a few apexes here and there, taking a very tight exit line of the final corner.
Stig v Rob's not taking it lying down, he's trying to come back at Dave the Hart.
He's got a good run. He's got a really good run looking up the inside into turn one, but can he get it slowed down in time? He can.
He's checking a really, really wide line, giving enough room, and but I think he may be compromised, and Oldman looks to have a really poor exit there.
Well, that's what I was saying with turn one. There's a number of different lines you can use around that corner. So Dave holding that really wide outside line allowed him to carry the speed all the way round. Whereas Stig v Rob trying to move up the inside, he knew he had to get it slowed down enough to not hit Dave, and that compromised his overall speed through the corner.
Jason just been overtaken by Dave the Hart. And
no, it's the other way round. It's the other way round. Jason's attacking Dave the Harp.
Right. Well, this is game on then for Jason. I was thinking, where's he come from? And Altman, yeah, he's run away, and I think Dave may have had a couple of problems running through turn 3 and 4.
Oh, I think he may have done, because Stig v Rob is ahead of him. So we missed Stig v Rob getting back ahead of Dave the Harp, and that's put Jason right onto the back of Dave now. And Jason will enjoy trying to attack the newly crowned ProjectCARS champion.
Yeah, a lot of drivers. Oh, I think Stig v Rob may have gone a touch deep there. May give Dave a run up the hill. Out in front, just to let you know, it's currently running Scott McFall, a second and a half behind is IL Tell, second half behind them is Kalu Kutu, a second behind them is Oldman,
Stig v Rob
in P5, and Dave the App is going to make that P6.
He's going to try to. Something tells me Stig v Rob's going to fight it hard though.
Jason could really... I think some tyres have gone flying there. Stig v Rob does not like the tyres around here, and Jason's got a nice run. Yeah,
Jason with a nice wide line there. Oh, Stig v Rob gives him room, does he? No, not enough. Into the barrier they both go. That could be damage on both of those cars there. And who have we got catching them up? RDJ, who's being overtaken by Caseley into turn 1.
Yeah, Stig v Rob really needed to use his mirrors there, but Jason's coming back at him already.
Oh, Stig.
Around the outside, what a lovely move, but Stig, yeah, just he wants to kiss Jason, and not in a nice way, I don't think.
Well, Racer 21 won't like that, will he?
No, not at all, and Oldman's now getting the magnets on Kalu Kutu for P3.
So I'm going to focus on GBM Oldman for a little while then. I'm sure Oldman... Well, I can imagine both Oldman and Dave the Harp would like to get onto the podium so that they can join us for the final podiums interviews of the season. I think regardless of where Dave finishes, we invite him in anyway, because obviously he is going to be crowned the new champion. But I think for Oldman, he wants to beat Dave in this race. He wants to win this race, and I think he probably want the opportunity to congratulate Dave. But he's also got an opportunity here to attack Kulakutu. No, Kulakutu defends it quite nicely on the inside line.
Yeah, but as he compromises his way up the hill, as Oldman's set himself up nicely, I think he's going to be all over the back of him now running through this little chicane. Can Oldman keep it tight up against this curve? Yes, he can. And Kulakutu's out of position, I believe. Yeah,
watch the difference in speed here. GBM Oldman just gaining. And that's because he was able to carry so much more speed through the corner by compromising the exit of the previous one. And Kulakutu having to fully attack in both. Kulakutu now getting a little bit sideways. Oldman's going to have him here on a bit of a cutback.
Yeah. He could try it all the way around the outside like Jason did on the previous, but Oldman's just feathered the throttle and he just wanted to have a slam dunk overtake into turn 1. Up the inside he's going to go. Is he going to give enough space? Kulakutu breaks deep, but trying to hold it. Oldman's really, really fighting the throttle, wants to get the power down, and side by side again.
A little bit of door banging, letting each other know that they're Oldman on the curb is bouncing into the brake marker board nearly.
And Dave the App is watching these two saying, thank you very much, Kulakutu. You're making my day a hell of a lot easier in my fight with Oldman.
Oldman clips the sausage curb, bounces himself into Kulakutu. Dave the Arp now says, thank you very much, I'll have that place. And now we'll be thinking, okay, it's now my turn to try and get ahead of Kulakutu, which GBM Oldman has just found out is not that easy to do.
Yeah, indeed. He's making that black and red DTM car like the back end of a donkey at the moment.
The thing is, right, been a little bit of contact between the two of them. We mentioned it in between the sprint race and the feature race, though. Kulakutu is unpredictable as Dave the Harp takes out the tyre barrier. Kulakutu tries to avoid everything, and GBM Oldman goes round the outside. But yeah, you watch Kulakutu, and you're going to find something to watch. It's as simple as that. It's great stuff, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm sure Dave the App and Oldman will have other choice words for Kulakutu, but we're not going to use them.
Well, I'd just say there's nothing wrong with making yourself difficult to overtake as long as you're not ramming people, and I don't think he was, so I love what I've just seen there. Fighting hard for the position. Okay, let's have a look up at the front.
Another thing that Dave and Oldman will have been aware of is that Caseley is now in P6. He's only about 5 seconds behind them, so they need to get a wriggle on because they know how quick he is with his pedigree.
That is true. Scott McFall still leading this race, 4 laps into it. Eltel still in second. That gap is still close enough that this lead could change at any moment. Dave the Harp now up into 3rd place. He'll want to gain a couple more positions, I reckon. GBM Oldman up to 4th now. Kulakutu is in 5th, but where is that 6th place car? Not that far behind him, as James said. That's Kay Slay and Stig V Rob. Gap not that far from Kay Slay to Stig V Rob, but Stig V Rob's going to have to be careful of Jason, who looks like he's absolutely flying at the moment in 8th place. RDJ, a bit of a gap between himself and Jason in 9th, and it looks like we've lost Dre, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dre has either lost connection or lost his patience with this car, because it did look like he was struggling in the qualifying now. But Scott, I think he just needs to keep his head down and look out the windshield and, yeah, just try and not let ILTEL get into the back of his mind and feel like he's losing time, because psychology is half the battle around here.
It definitely is. I mean, the other half of the battle is the tyres, because this is a very punishing track on tyres. There's no doubt about that. On
a scale of tyre killers, this is up there with Barcelona, especially with the off-camber right-handers, especially this downhill one that Casely is currently running through. It really just punishes the tyre all the way through there, and yeah, a driver who can really look after his tyres is going to go a long way in this race. And
I'll tell you what, Elto looks like he's already struggling for grip on his tyres. And when it comes to strategy, I mean, we've seen a lot of races this season. It is kind of a, okay, do you risk the 1 stop or do you go for the 2 stop? And it depends on the track as to which has really worked, and also depends on how the drivers treat their tyres. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I would guess if we're going to see a 2 stop, then we're going to see drivers pitting within the next 2 laps. If it's a 1 stop,
it's just under attack from Casely into turn 1. Casely has gone for the absolute epic braking that he's got, but Kulukutu looks like he's going to try and fight it back, but no, Casely's gone. What an absolutely beautiful overtake there.
I mean, that's one of the things that many of the drivers may have seen from Casely when he was racing. See in the background as well, Stig V Rob coming under a bit of pressure from Jason. I said Jason was flying. He is. He's caught right up to Stig V Rob. And
Kulukutu in the wall.
He's going to have to be careful of the other 2 coming around the corner now. He needs to give them a little bit of room. He is giving them a little bit of room, but he's not making it easy for them. He's back up to speed now. But he's not going to make it easy for him. But Stig V Rob and Jason do manage to just squeeze ahead. But yeah, people may have watched Casely in previous seasons and thought, okay, he's braking dead late. I can do that. And yeah, you can, as long as your car's set up to be able to brake as late as he does without locking up and killing the tyres.
Yeah, Stig V Rob looks to be absolutely cooking his tyres at the moment as Jason's got to run up the inside. But Stig V Rob finds an extra few metres to brake later, but Jason, I think it's only a matter of time before he's through.
Yeah, he's got a good run on the exit of the corner, and that's all to do with the line he takes through the corner. He's up the inside now. He brakes a little bit earlier than Stig V Rob, but Jason, perhaps just playing it a little bit more cautious, looking after those tyres, gets the move done quite nicely, quite comfortably as well.
Ooh, Dave looks to be struggling in the final corner there, going very wide indeed, and that'll give Oldman a little bit of hope, I think.
Well, let's see. I'm just having a look at Scott McFall. He's not pushing his tyres at all. He's not pushing his car in the slightest. I think he could comfortably go doing a one-stop strategy here. Whereas Eltel, for the last couple of laps, his car's been looking very twitchy on the exit of corners, and that's when you can lose. Well, you lose a lot of time in every corner, but I mean, I'm sure you've had it, James, at some points. Sorry, I was going to just say, I'm sure you've had it at some points. I know I've had it at times, and I'm sure all drivers have had it at some point. Whether they're practicing with someone or racing against somebody, and they'll look at lap times and go, well, hang on a minute, I'm pushing as hard as I can, and I'm a second off your pace. I'm on this, even if I'm on the same setup, I'm a second off your pace. And one thing I was thinking of the other night, it can come down to a simple feature, which is if you lose 1/10 of a second through every corner, it only takes 10 corners to be 1 second behind. So you have to be so precise with your braking point, how much you brake, your turning point, the line you're on, how much apex do you take? Do you take the apex early? Do you take the apex late? Do you get on the throttle early, or do you take it late? There's so many of those factors that you have to kind of bring into it. But if you can find that 1/10 of a second, that's where you can really begin to maximise your lap times.
And another thing as well that the drivers should focus on, which is one of the key things that I took into my little notebook when I was racing, was adapting my racing line as the tyres wear out.
Yeah.
Understanding, right, I don't want to kill the tyre in this particular corner because this particular corner is eating my wear. So I'm going to be very, very gentle through this corner, not take as much speed in, but absolutely rag it on the way out and try and offset the difference in lap time. And the more and more you do that, I may be speaking gobbledygook, but if you can try and understand where the tyres are getting killed and where they're not, you can then push where they're not and then save the lap time for when they are getting killed, so that you're still able to produce decent lap times.
We've got cars in the, sorry James, we've got cars in the pits. Dave the Harp and GBM Oldman. We've also lost one other car from the race, unfortunately. And
Casely's there.
Yep, Casely in the pits as well. So Dave the Harp gets on his way. I would guess that is potentially a two-stop strategy for Dave the Harp, GBM Oldman, and for Slay as well. Now what will be interesting is, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the gap was between Scott and Dave the Harp, but at this phase of the race, Dave the Harp could potentially now begin to catch up Scott McFall.
Yeah,
but
I think it was about 4 seconds. The drivers at the front are currently losing 3 seconds a lap. So Dave could potentially be right on the back of ILTEL at the pit lane exit if they pit now. If they don't pit now, they are leaving themselves wide open for an undercut.
Yep. But if they do want to go for the one stop, then they need to eke out another 3 laps from these tyres and then hope that they've got enough tyre life. And what you were saying was right, James. If there's one corner on this track that gives you, say, 3% more tyre wear than all of the others, you do have to potentially compromise the way you attack that corner to make your tyres last. But let's see if the leaders are going to be heading into the pit lane at all. I've got a feeling the answer to that is no. But I'm wrong, because Scott is going into the pits.
Oh, ILTEL's thinking he's got a bit more grip, so he's staying out.
Well,
Jason's currently in P3 and he's not stopped yet.
Well, we've seen ILTEL do one stops before, and it's worked for him. Jason may go for extending the laps. He did try doing it at Monza, not Monza, at the last race. Go on, what have you got?
Oh, Jason's currently per sector 4 seconds slower than Dave and Casely.
Yeah, and so much of that will be down to the tyres, but also, I mean, there is a factor of drivers being simply a little bit quicker.
Scott's just at pit exit and Jason's just coming out behind him, but Dave Harp can see both of them. Jason's not pitted yet and he's still in P3.
Yeah, well, Dave the Harp's going to need to get on an absolute charge. I mean, is Scott going to be able to one-stop it? I don't know. I doubt it. It's going to be interesting to find out.
I'm going to put a bold prediction on it. I think Dave's going to win both the sprint and feature race.
Oh, that is a bold prediction. I don't. I think this one. Oh, we've got a spinner. Who is that? It's Dave the Harp. Talk about the commentator's curse working immediately.
Can you believe it? I just flicked off him as well. Oh. Yes, there you go. Just if anybody's thinking about being an admin, there is just straight away. You will be better than me because you won't make bold predictions that fall flat on the face within 5 seconds.
The thing is, admittedly though, that's a prediction. You said Dave's going to win them both. I said I don't think he will. I think that's a prediction I'd rather have not got right. But that was beautifully timed, I've got to say. Okay, ILTEL into the pits.
Jason currently running round. I think he needs to pick this lap as Scott has pulled out a fairly decent gap over him.
Yeah, and the thing is, Scott will have pulled out a gap on Eltel as well, potentially. I am watching Scott at the moment, heading into the final couple of cars. I can't believe you just commentators cursed Dave the Arp that badly.
I'll let you know when Eltel's heading down pit lane.
Okay, well, Scott McFall. Well, Scott's on the start-finish straight, crossing the finish line now. So yeah, Scott's going to retake this lead by a long way. Yeah,
by a very, very long way. Jason's in the pit lane and Ullman's just coming around the final corner, so that's Eltel into P2. Got a comfortable gap behind, but he's lost so much time to Scott. I think he should have pitted on that previous lap.
Yeah, so GBM Ullman now in the final podium position with Dave the Harp sitting in 4th place, who's now going to be sat there thinking, I hope they didn't catch that. We didn't, but we do know what happened.
Oh, we've got another car off. Who was that? Eltel.
Eltel.
So, coming out of the pit lane, he's gone and binned it, and Caseley's through now to P4. So, Eltel, can you believe it? Running in P2, has just gone and binned it on the outlap with the cold tyres.
Well, I guess it's easy. Well, it is easily done on cold tyres, but you've got to be aware of it. You've got to practice that. You've got to work on that. I mean, I do know when ProjectCARS first came out, I mean, I knew a lot of people that were saying the game was terrible because as soon as you come out the pits, the car spins. And it's like, hang on a minute, what's the temperature of your tyres? Oh, I don't know. Well, what colour are your tyre icons? Really dark blue. So, well, they're cold then, aren't they?
They're frozen.
Yeah, you're coming out of the pits going full throttle, that's why you're spinning. But anyway, Elto, I think he'll be a little bit frustrated with that because a 2nd place was definitely well on the cards there, but now he's down in 5th.
Yeah, indeed, and he's got Caseley in front of him. He might actually be alright if he just follows Caseley, but Caseley's had very, very decent pace, but Eltel's, hopefully, if he's not burned out them tyres and given big flat spots, he should have decent grip, as he's probably the one with the best tyre condition out of the front 5, sorry.
That's true. Jason has got Kulakutu right behind him. Jason obviously recently pitted, so he's got much fresher tyres than Kulakutu. But I was just watching it because, as I said earlier, if you watch Kulakutu, you'll find something interesting to see. But at the moment, Jason is pulling away from him. Let's see, RDJ is still going in 9th place.
Caseley currently running a full second quicker than everybody. Dave the Arp was 2nd fastest out of on the last lap with a 55.3. Caseley did a 54.5, so yeah, he's definitely got a lot of pace in that DTM car. And Oldman, yeah, he doesn't seem to be closing in on Scott. Scott's got a pretty comfortable gap at the moment.
Oh, Dave, are you spinning? No, he saved it. He nearly did what he did in the warm-up session then. But I think he is catching up to GBM Oldman. As you said, Caseley quickest on track at the moment. And he's pulling away from Eltel. I mean, whatever moment it was that Eltel had, I didn't see it, but that will play on his mind now, just as it would be playing on Dave the Harp's mind of the mistake that he made.
Indeed. Quick weather report. It's looking a little bit cloudy. The sun's still breaking through the clouds, but the clouds have rolled over the circuit, so it could be another twist in the tail yet.
Okay, I was going to pop the camera on Scott McFall because I've got to say he's having an absolute cracker. And you know when you said Dave the Arp's going to win them both, and I was like, no, I don't think he will. I was about to say it's going to be Scott or Eltel. It's not going to be Eltel, unfortunately, because he did what Dave the Arp did. But Scott is in a phenomenal position to go and take a victory here.
He's got decent pace, and the good thing for him is Ullman's in P2, and he looks to have very similar pace.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back to the warm-up session, I mean, I was saying about Scott, he was new into the DTMs this season, and it kind of showed early on, but he's got better and better and better, getting himself on the podiums. I think he's had a pole position as well. And yeah, it's all sort of accumulated to this point now. Let's see, GBM Oldman running in 2nd place. I mean, I still think his main aim here is to just finish ahead of Dave the Harp. Okay, I've had a quick look at YouTube. There's a few people saying hello to each other and stuff like that. And apologies if we don't respond to all of your comments. We are trying to keep an eye on what's happening at the screen. I have also had somebody asking what question of the day is. Well, it's quite a simple one, really. No IndyCar spoilers, please, folks, because myself and James were watching IndyCar, but we had to stop watching it to be able to host and broadcast this for the drivers and for the viewers. So the question of the day is, on what lap number did me and James stop watching the IndyCar race? If you can get that right, kudos to you.
I'll give the drivers a bit of a hint. We stopped watching around 20 minutes before we went live, so that'll just give you a little bit of a hint.
Yes. So, what have we got? What's the story of the second half of the race here then, James?
I think Ullman's been caught now. Dave the Arp, after having that spin, looks to be trying to come back at him, and he's bringing Casely along for the ride.
Well, if we have a look at, show the viewers the last laps as Scott crosses the line, we'll see what his lap time is this time around. 1:57.0. Let's see what GBM Oldman is going to be able to do. See if he's gaining on Scott at all. So as he crosses the line, it's a 1:56.7. So he is gaining. Dave's in the pits. It is a two-stop for Dave.
Right. Okay. So going for pit lane.
So, Eltel, he's in the mid at 1:57s. Casely, he's quickest on the track at the moment, did a 1:56.0. But yeah, Dave the Harp then confirmed two-stop race. I mean, what was it, 13 laps remaining, he pitted, so he did about 7 laps on that first set of tyres.
Yeah, he must be wanting to go long on this final set with 8 laps remaining. And yeah, I may have been tempted to stay out though, because the clouds look to be rolling over the circuit. You never know what could happen.
Well,
anything could happen.
I can't see any clouds at the moment. I can just see cars, gravel traps, the track, hills, and fans on the hills watching these cars go around this track. Let's see, GBM Oldman.
Dave the Arp's just come out behind Stig V. Robin. He's just disposing of him now.
But with the fresher tyres, much easier to do. Or Stig v Rob though, having a look up the inside, not quite able to do anything about that one. I think one of the interesting things about this racetrack though, as Stig v Rob says, I hate tyres so much I'm going to knock over this tyre barrier. One of the interesting things about this track is, James, it's quite easy for people to think it's actually a very short track. It really isn't. It's a really long lap around here, isn't it?
It is a long lap around here, which is why the undercut can be so massive, and especially with so many tight, twisty corners as Scott McFall carries on for another lap. Is Ullman going to go for the bait and go for the undercut?
Yes,
along
he
with,
is.
Dave the Arp?
He's in the pits.
Will Casely follow suit? No, he's carried on.
I could imagine Casely trying to take tyres to the end of a race. He was always good at looking after tyres. But GBM Oldman into the pits then. Eltel doesn't pit. We expected him to go longer anyway, but I mean, okay, Scott McFall and Eltel may still be on a two-stop strategy, but they may be able to go long enough.
Dave's lost it! Dave's lost it on his new tyres again!
Well, definitely not much of a champion's drive, is it, from Dave?
Oh, this is going from bad to worse for Dave, and now that puts him under pressure from Jason.
That it does.
Ullman's just exited the pits. That were a long stop there for Ullman. Dave the Arp, having spun, is not too far behind Ullman, and yeah, I think that was a very, very long stop there for Ullman.
It could have been, but yeah, what I was going to say was with Eltel and Scott McFall, what they may be able to do is, having gone longer on that first stint, if they can match that on their second stint, they may be able to stop again and put the softest compound tyre on, as Dave the Arp is looking to try and get past Stig v Rob as soon as possible. He'll be hoping that his tyres have got up to temperature. Here we go, then makes the move. Jason's going to go for it as well, and he does. Stig v Rob got himself a little bit out of shape there, and both drivers pounced instantly.
One little bit of information for you. I have tested the soft tyre and it lasts literally a lap and a half, so everybody currently will be running on the hardest possible tyre. It does say medium, but it is a hard tyre, so they currently look like as if they're good for about 6-7 laps, and there's 7 laps remaining. Will the front runners be jumping into the pit lane, or Scott's staying out?
Well, he is obviously feeling very, very confident about how his car is handling at the moment. Let's see if Casey is going to jump into the pits as he also takes out one of the tyre barriers. Although, to be fair, those tyre barriers, he's going into the pits.
He's getting caught by ILTEL. So ILTEL carrying on. Yeah.
RDJ in the background going into the pits as well, but I think RDJ is now a lap down, and I can now see what you mean about the clouds. Yeah, there are some clouds rolling in around this track.
Yeah, looks to be bubbling up, but we've only got 6 laps remaining. If there is any rain on the way, it might just pass us.
Well, Casely still stationary in the pits. GBM Oldman about to pass him. Dave the Harp, even with his spin, I think he's catching up to GBM Oldman, you know.
Yeah, he's got a decent gap over Casely, who's still stationary in the pit lane.
Yeah, Casely is going to lose. He's going to come out behind Stig v Rob, and Stig v Rob may have another pit stop to do. And as I said, that was a long stop for Casely because RDJ has come out right behind him, and RDJ was a good 3 or 4 seconds behind Casely. But I don't know, maybe the former champ is out of practice on how to do pit stops in these DTMs.
Maybe indeed. So, front runners are Scott McFall, who's got a massive healthy gap over ILTEL. I think he could sit and have a cup of tea and carry on and still be in the race lead if he pitted.
I was just going to say, James, could you work out what the gap is between, say, Scott McFall and GBM Oldman, and see if Scott McFall, if he was to be able to pit, whether he's going to be under pressure from GBM Oldman at all?
No, but he doesn't look like he's under any pressure at all, because he's carrying on, and I'll time it now. Okie doke.
And David Harper is definitely still catching up to GBM Oldman. The gap is coming down little by little. But I am interested as well to see what ILTEL's going to do as he's coming into the final corner now. I think if he can, he'd be best off staying out for these remaining laps to see whether he's going to be able to keep hold of that second place. And GBM Oldman heading up to the final couple of corners now, and I don't know, it's a bit of an interesting one because, okay, if Dave hadn't have had his 2 spins, Dave would be quite some way up the road, but Dave did have his spins and GBM Oldman's ahead of him, and he's heading up to the start-finish line now, James.
Yeah, it's 29 seconds, so I think that's just enough time to make a pit stop and get out in front of Oldman.
Okay, so if Scott McFall did feel like his tyres were going off then and wanted to be safe, he could afford to potentially do the pit stop then and be on very light fuel with potentially, I mean, okay, if the softest tyre only lasts as a lap and a half, I'm sure you could make it last 4 laps if you looked after them.
Oh, aye. Well, you'd have to really look after them because they do seem to dissipate grip quicker than I last eating a chocolate bar.
Don't you mean how long the chocolate bar lasts when you see it?
Yeah. Even when I put a chocolate bar in the fridge to try and make it last longer, it just doesn't last long enough.
You get to the point where you go, there's no point when you're keeping that in the fridge because you'll keep having to get up to go and get it. I might as well just have it next to me. Although I must admit, I'm bad with chocolate hobnobs chocolate topped flapjack. I could sit there and eat a whole cake tin full of those. Delight, I love them.
Ooh, don't get me started, as I think Casely is about to start on Jason. But yeah, that is heaven.
I've got a little bit of a funny story to tell you. Whether people will find it funny or not, I don't know. But yeah, Casey is about to make the move on Jason at the moment. Jason's going to fight it as best as he can. But again, Casey showing that he hasn't lost his touch on those brakes. Being able to brake so late, really, really impressive. As Scott does continue on for another lap. If we're going, the next closest battle is that sort of 3rd and 4th place. Right, okay, it's been really, really hot where I live for the last few days. I think it's been quite hot over most of Britain this week, and admittedly next week it's supposed to rain pretty much every single day. But a few days ago it was so hot one night that I thought, you know what, if it's like this tomorrow, I need to go and buy some ice cream. Like whether it's a tub of ice cream or whatever, I don't care. So I had to go to the shop anyway because I needed to get some loo rolls. So I thought, right, while I'm there, I'm getting some ice creams. So I nip into Co-op, and other supermarkets are available. I nip into Co-op, and they do their own style of Magnums, right? And I like Magnums.
Oh, yeah.
But I also like Co-op's version of them. And usually, I mean, they're quite well priced as well. I mean, they're not very expensive, and quite often they're on offer. Like 2 4-packs for like £3 or something like that. So I'm in there, and obviously it's really hot, so a lot of the ice cream shelves are bare. There's not much in there. But I see this one box of 8 Co-op like Magnums, and I'm like, right, I'm having these. They're only like £2.50. I'm having them. They'll go down a right treat. So I'm sat here, red hot, sweating, thinking, oh, hold on, thinking I could do with a little bit of rain. And what have we got on the screen? We've got a little bit of rain, James.
Oh, we have, and Scott McFall's carrying on. But is the rain heavy enough for drivers to want to pit? There's only 3 laps remaining.
Well, I was going to say, I would say no, but as Aielto's approaching the final couple of corners, I think he may go, you know what, I should pit. That might just cost Scott McFall the lead of this race. If Eltel pits, and he does pit, he's going to go for a set of wet tyres here. If that works for him and it doesn't for Scott, that's going to be absolutely disastrous for Scott, because he's been absolutely untouchable today. James, keep an eye on Scott, see how he's getting on out there. Yeah, as I'm going to see if Oldman, he's into the pits as well. Dave the Harps dives straight into the pits. Case Lay 1, what's he going to do? I wouldn't be surprised if he carries on. He might have a chance of winning the race, but
Scott is really struggling out there now. He's trying to make sure he keeps off the painted white lines, because he does not want to spin.
It's absolutely hammering it down into the penultimate corner now. Everybody so far has pitted. Jason into the pits as well. RDJ, he has not pitted. Kulakutu's not quite there yet, and neither is Stig V Rob. But where Stig V Rob is absolutely hammering it down. So where is Scott McFall? Oh, yeah. The thing is, I mean, where he was positioned, he may just have not had enough time to sort of comprehend, hang on a minute, this is rain. Oh, he does look like he's struggling, though.
Oh. Yeah, really struggling. Just needs to keep his head, keep composed. He has a very decent gap. He just needs to try and really nurse this car home as slow as possible, because he knows he had a decent gap.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He had a margin, but is that margin going to have been big enough to allow for the time loss on this lap? I mean, I don't know if you'd be able to give us a guide of sort of how slow his sector times were there, James.
Yeah, currently his sector 1 was a 30, which wasn't too bad, but then his sector 2 was 1 minute 2. And yeah, this is not looking good, but he's managed to get it back to the pit lane without spinning it, which is the main thing. But Aieltel, he's not as close as I thought he would be, but he's not too far away, I don't think. Plus, the setups the drivers have got on may not work as well in these conditions, because it is really hammering it down.
I was going to say, the rain's almost coming down sideways. So while this is still carrying on, I haven't finished my ice cream story. So anyway, I'm sat here, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I was wishing for rain like this. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and have one of those ice creams I bought. Opened up the box, they're miniature Magnums. They're only about an inch big. I was so disappointed. I ended up having to have 2 just to match the feeling of having one normal one. Scott McFall, though, he's already around turn 1, you know. He negotiated that lap absolutely beautifully to be able to come back out in the lead of the race. With a nice healthy gap to Eltel, and you know what, if he goes on to win this race, I'll take my hat on, or I'll put a hat on and I'll take it off to him for dealing with that lap there.
So yeah, as the drivers negotiate these turns, and it looks to me like there's absolutely no grip out there as Dave's negotiating turn 1 like Well,
I was going to
think of a
say,
very tense situation.
I was going to say, James, if you noticed though, GBM Oldman was ahead of Dave the Harp. GBM Oldman is now in 4th place, whereas Dave the Harp is now in 3rd, as the rain is still falling harder and harder, heavier and heavier.
Yeah, this has come at a point where I thought we may have ended the race just in time, but it looks like the rain has previously noted it could possibly have rained. It's really come, and it's come with anger.
Sorry, Stig v Rob, he's struggling out there. He's really struggling in these conditions. He's about to lose a position as he has the slowest spin I've ever seen, and that's Kulakutu up to 7th place. RDJ, he's stopped on track, but the car is full brakes on, slipping down the road. That reminds me of the manor that was out of control in real F1 a few years ago, and RDJ does retire, unfortunately.
Right, so that may have been fuel. He might have ran out of fuel if he's not put enough in, or he may have just been on completely the wrong tyres. ILTAL's really struggling.
What's that? I mean, with this amount of rain, I mean, I'm looking at Scott McFall now, and he's driving ever so cautiously out there at the moment. I mean, one of the things that people may not sort of grasp is that obviously when it rains and you put the wet tyre on, yeah, okay, it lifts the car up a little bit because of the tread, but if your ride height is too low, you are just going to aquaplane, and it could potentially be a problem. But Scott McFall, he's only got... I thought for a moment, James, that was you making your usual kind of noises, and then I realised, no, that's a thunderstorm, folks. So that's why it's raining so hard, and it's not surprising with how hot the weather has been here today in Brno. A thunderstorm is not a major surprise. I'm actually expecting one where I live as well. Scott! It's out of focus on the camera, but he nearly lost control of the car there.
Ooh. Yeah, he's got a decent gap over ILTAL.
But
he just needs
ILTAL...
to keep focus.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I think he's closing, yeah.
Well, I thought ILTAL had Dave the Arp closing up to him, but it isn't. It's Kulakutu that's not far off the back of him. So Scott and ILTAL just need to make sure they keep going at the moment.
ILTAL in Sector 1 was...
Dave the Arp spun! Dave the Arp spun! GBM Oldman slips past into 3rd place. Dave the Arp was going to be frustrated about that one, but at the same time, he won't care.
Here comes Casely as well, so that just shows you the champion has spun, so Scott just needs to really, really be as tentative as possible. But is he being too tentative? He was 3 seconds slower than ILTAL in Sector 1 alone.
Well, I mean, that's something that we talked about at Bathurst, wasn't it? Where we were on about the dipper. You have a little bit of a moment in there, and it tempts you to think, "Oh no, I'll take it a bit easier," and then it compounds the problem. And these conditions, okay, yeah, the guys have got to be careful, but they can't back off too much because obviously their tyres need to get into a working range, and if they go too slow, that's not going to happen. However, for Scott McFall, he's only going to have 2 corners to go. And you know what? If he gets through those 2 corners without any problems, gotta say he fully deserves the victory here. Been dominant from start to finish, risking that extra lap on the dry tyres. I mean, if this rain had come down this hard half a lap earlier, it'd have been ruined. But he is going to take victory. Well done to Scott McFall for taking the win here. As Kulakutu spins on the last corner, ILTAL takes 2nd place. GBM Oldman is sitting in 3rd place at the moment, and I think is he spun again?
I think so. Casely's up to 4th now.
Okay, well, GBM Oldman, he is going to cross the line in 3rd place, and he'll be pleased that he's beat Dave the Harp in this one, with the weather conditions making it very difficult at the end of the race there. 3rd place for him. Casely going to cross the line in 4th place, showing that he's still got what it takes, although I'm sure if he'd have practiced, he'd have been a little further up the grid. Dave the Harp, the newly crowned champion, is going to cross the line in semi-style in 5th place. Could have done it better than that, Dave. You could have spun it and reversed over.
He just christened the pit wall there.
Well, he's christened every other bit of off-track around this race, so why not that bit as well? So Jason crosses the line to take 6th. Well done to him. And then we've got Stig v Rob, I believe, in 7th place. Yeah, Stig v Rob and Kulakutu still out there fighting sort of for 7th and 8th place. But a bit of an interesting race there, James. I mean, very exciting, but also perhaps not as much action as we may have wanted for the last race of the season.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I was going to say before we even started that I don't think we'd had a dull race, and even that were quite exciting in the opening few laps, but that's probably been the least entertaining race of the season, because the rest of them were absolute fire starters, and this has ended in a bit of a damp squib.
Yeah, well, it may be that with the championship having been decided in the sprint race, it kind of perhaps took a little bit of the edge off of this race, but also, I mean, it would have been nice to have seen the likes of Adam 4600, GBM Vectra, GT Gavin on the grid to spice things up as well. But it is what it is, and we're still waiting for Stig v Rob and Kulakutu to. Sorry, I think if the positions are right now, it might actually be Kulakutu 7th and Stig v Rob 8th as Kulakutu's coming up to the final corner. But yeah, I mean, I know we've done races around here before. This is also a track that it can, it's a little bit like, it can have that kind of Spa effect where, as I mentioned earlier on, it's such a long lap here, as Kulakutu does take 7th, such a long lap here that the field can quite often get spread out, but can't fault Scott McFall at all there. And just realised we did our chat party switch around the wrong way earlier, James. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's alright. I've suggested the players, so you don't have to bother looking.
Okay, well, when Stig v Roberts cross the line, I shall send an invite to the drivers as he crosses the line to complete the running order. And obviously we did also have Dre and RDJ that didn't finish. There was another driver as well, I believe, that unfortunately didn't get to the end of the race. Okay, so as I get ready to send invites to the podium cities, just have to remember for a second, James, the viewers can't hear you at the moment.
Hello?
Yeah, the viewers can't hear you while I'm on a blue screen, sorry. I really should not have told you about that, but it would be so cruel to to do that to you. You see, on your very last broadcast, at least I've been kind-ish to you. Okay, so you said you recommended them to me, didn't you? My apologies. Okay, so as we wait, as we invite in the podium sit. Thoughts, James, of the season?
Well, my thoughts right now is I've put my shorts on and shucking it down. I'm not looking forward to getting back to the hotel without getting drenched. But yeah, thoughts of the season. What an absolute cracker we've had. It's been non-stop action, and I think I mentioned to you about 2 seasons ago what I wanted the spectacle to be, and I was pretty adamant on that, and I think really these past 2 seasons have really gone above and beyond.
I was so tempted to do a Buzz Lightyear impression then, but I thought better of it.
To infinity, yeah.
But I'm just having a quick look at a few of the spectators on the hill. One of them just stood there drinking his coffee while everybody else is getting absolutely soaked out there. But I believe the podium sitters... well, I get a camera angle. Well, I was going to say, well, there isn't a lady with boobs out, as you put it. But no, well, actually, it does look like there is a guy with an umbrella, but there we go. No, he's waving a flag. Sorry, he's waving. It's not an umbrella. I tell you what, though, that guy drinking the coffee, he's either a very, very deep cup because he seemed to have it in his mouth for a long, long time. But anyway, our podium sitters have joined us, as well as our newly crowned ProjectCARS DTM champion, Dave the Harp, who we will get to in a little while. But James, seeing as it is going to be your last chance to question the drivers, take it away.
Yeah, well, what an absolute blinding final race there. We had Scott McFall taking the victory, and Scott, first things first, how did you do it?
Well, just all day practicing, trying to get set up right, and found something that worked, and stuck with it.
Right, and were you sticking to a two-stop strategy, and how were your feelings when them nebulous clouds came over and burst all over the circuit?
I was staying out, I wasn't getting in for my second stop, I was just going to stay out to the end, but as soon as I seen the rain starting, thought I'd push it down that extra lap, then get wet tyres on, try and get back out. I think it dropped down to like maybe 26 seconds between me and second place, but I managed just to get back out the pit in time and hold it together.
Indeed, I think that in-lap on the slick tyres was really... we were watching it with bated breath, thinking, how is he not spinning out here? It was one of them situations where you're driving round and the circuit's getting a lot wetter than you probably anticipated when you passed the pit entry, as we're just hearing some thunderstorms in the background still cracking away. So Scott, final race of the season, are you pleased with that?
Oh, I can't believe I actually got myself into the pole position for once, because I've had a couple of second places this season and I've been pushing for it, and last race of the season I've managed to get it, so, and more importantly, I don't know where that leaves me standing in the overall standings, but I think that's a good run for a club.
A fair jump with 25 points in the bag, and I'm sure we'll come back to you in a moment's time as we jump to ILTEL P2. How are you feeling, my friend?
Good. I've messed up on the pit stop coming out with my DRS and spun the car, but I could have been closer to Scott, but pushing him. Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And when Scott kept staying out, I was going to thought he's going to go lap 7, go in, and he ended up staying out, so I just followed him. I thought I'll go for the one stop with him. And I thought I might have just got the jump on him in the pit stop, but I think that the 9th lap, I lost a lot of time, especially in sector 2. And he jumped me again in the pit on the pit stop. But no, and then I just messed up with the DRS. But that's racing.
Oh, well, you managed to get P2 today in very, very tricky conditions, and all I can say is well done. Because we saw a lot of people spinning in the background, and you managed to only spin it the once.
Yeah.
So
well, the rain probably helped me, because GBM was catching me. I think it was 3 or 4 laps to go. We were getting it down to 15 seconds, so it would have been quite close to GBM, I think, in the end. So the tyres had more or less gone again. So I don't know. But no, I'm happy with P2. I just would have been happy fighting with Scott, but I messed up coming out of the pit. So unlucky.
Well, we've all been there making little mistakes that we don't anticipate. But well done on P2, and final race of the championship, getting on the podium. That's very well done, including GBM Oldman in P3. Unfortunately, you just missed out on the title, as you had to win both races pretty much, and hope that Dave had a bit of a nightmare. Finishing P3, how are you feeling, Oldman?
Yeah, good. Yeah, happy. I've enjoyed the season. It's been a very tough season. Me and Dave have been doing a lot of practicing together, helping out each other on setups, so I give too much away, I think. Helped him out too much, and he's gone quicker than me. But yeah, very good. Totally enjoyed it with all the lads.
Well, all I've got to say is it's a match made in heaven, because you've both ended up the highest spots in the championship standings, so it can't be doing too badly. But yeah, especially if you think that you're giving your setup tips away, if there is a ProjectCARS season 7, if that does pull itself off, if people come forward and become admins, do you see yourself practicing as much with Dave next season?
Oh yeah, no problem at all. We're sort of good buddies, and I've been practicing with everyone actually. We've all been sort of going around chatting about what we're doing and bits and pieces, trying to help each other out. So it's just all teamwork, all team to keep us on the track racing together.
Right, well, very nice end to the podium chat, unless DP's got a nice
I've got a couple
few
of
questions for the podium drivers.
I've got a couple. Touching on what GBM Oldman just said there, like keeping us on the track and having a good time. So what tip did you give to Dave the Arp to make him spin so many times in the wet?
No, that was just tyre wear. The tyres were absolutely shot. I was having trouble. I was just dragging round in fifth gear, all the corners in fifth gear. No high revs at all, otherwise you were just going to let go. That's what gets become of a race car mechanic, you think.
Okay, well done. Eltel, quick question to yourself. Between the races, the sprint race and feature race tonight, I talked a little bit about each driver and was saying that you've shown yourself as you came in as a reserve and doing very, very well. You proved yourself the opportunity to be a permanent driver. I'm just wondering, in the first part of the race today, were you kind of pacing yourself behind Scott with an aim to fight him later on? Was that the plan? Do you think you could have taken the race to him?
I could have taken the race to him. Scott, we've had a couple of practices together. Scott seems to he got out the corners a lot better than I did, but I could catch him in going into the corners. But he gave. So it would have been an instant. If I wouldn't have done the pit stop, it would have been a good race. Yeah, and I think we could have been battling each other. But Scott coming out the corners was excellent.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It would have been hard to beat, but it could have been a good race.
Oh, good stuff. And one final question to Scott before we move on to Dave the Hart. Scott, as I just mentioned then, between the races we talked a little bit about each of the drivers in the championship standings, and one of the things I said about yourself was that obviously you came in new to the DTMs this season and perhaps found that jump from the Friday races to the Sunday DTM races a big step at first, but you've progressed and improved and you've managed to get a couple of podiums and been close to pole positions, and now it's accumulated into a victory. So is that how you would describe your season?
Amazing.
But would you describe it as, yes, like you came in, it was a big step, but it has been a progression all the way through?
Well, definitely, I would definitely agree with that. It started out with actually Casey had sent me a couple of times to try and match on the track, and I had done it, and he offered me to come into the Sunday. I wasn't actually aware of the Friday night stuff beforehand. Okay. But the first race at Barcelona, I had to retire in the feature race, and second race got slightly better, third race, and then by the fourth race, that was me. I found my sort of stride, and everything progressed from there, I think, really.
That's right, I remember now. There was a couple of test events and pre-season events that Caseley did to Talent Spot drivers. But yeah, I mean, you've definitely improved over the course of the season, and finishing it off with a win is great stuff. But James, over to you now for that other guy who's sitting in the podium. He squeezed himself into the podium commentary box for a little bit of a chat. So do you want to have a word with him, or should we just cut off now?
No, we won't be so rude. Yeah, here we go. Championship leader and winner is Dave the Art for Season 6 in the DTM Championship. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's feeling good. It's nice to have another title under my belt. You know, I'm not getting any younger. Oh.
And we did mention in commentary that mainly the first half of the season was your strength, winning both feature races and sprint races, and making a massive points haul, which was way too much for GBM Oldman in the second half of the season to catch up. Were there any highlights to your season? Is there any particular race that you thought, you know what, that one was an absolute blinder? And yeah, just give us an overall run through of your season.
Well, I'll try and remember as best I can. Yes, I've won the first 4 races. It was going well. But I think I said at the time, still not counting any chickens, just a lot of quick guys out there. Anything can happen in the races. I guess the luck was with me for them first 4 races. And things, you always have incidents, and I had quite a few through the season. But I pulled through in the end and I got there.
Well, all I can say is very, very well done. And I don't know if DP's got any final words to say to the current champion now.
Yeah, got a few questions for you, Dave. Got a couple about today's race. Coming into today's race, I mean, we knew what the situation was with the points. Basically, you needed to score no points in either race and Oldman win them both. Chances of that happening very, very slim. But did that actually play on your mind at all? Because although the chances were slim, it was a possibility.
No. I knew even if it did have a spin and damage my car, I could always get back to the pits and finish the race. So I wasn't really worried about not scoring any points today.
Okay. I heard a little rumour as well that you were told beforehand that GBM Oldman wasn't going to be racing tonight.
No. There was a possibility that he might not have been able to race because of family circumstances. So.
Oh, yeah. I wondered if it was a little bit of mind games from him.
No. He's got family circumstances. So.
Okay, fair enough.
It just would have been a shame if he missed out.
Okay.
He turned up and he finished third. Well done.
Yep, he gave it a damn good go. The sprint race, excellent job by yourself there, taking the win, confirmed your championship in style. The feature race did not go the same way at all. But I'm guessing you don't really care because it had already been confirmed. But I'm just wondering, what were the good bits and the tricky bits of the feature race for you?
Yeah, well, like I say, the lad said, well, you're the champion now before the feature race. And oh, am I? Good, cool. So I just went out to enjoy the feature race. And the first part of it, I think I made a few good overtakes. And I enjoyed the race, yeah, apart from the spins, obviously.
Yeah.
But, at least I didn't press the reset button this time.
Well, I was going to say, I think we counted at least 4 spins. So for Eltel, if you're worried about the one spin you had, don't worry. The new champ did it 4 times. But yeah. But anyway, very well done, Dave. It is your second, I believe, championship. Or did I was going to say you won the double, didn't you?
I believe it was season 1, were it, Dave, where you won your first, and then it was, I believe, your second was the season 3 with the LMP2s. I remember you won a title there, and this is now your third.
Yeah, I think the first one was the Ginettas, was it?
Ginettas, yeah, that's it.
May well have been. Going back a long time now, and us old fogies, we can barely remember it. But anyway, very well done, Dave, and well done to our podium sitters, Scott McFall, who won the feature race, ILTEL, who took second, GBM Oldman, who took third. But also, well done and thank you to all of the drivers that have taken part this season. Thank you for giving the time and the effort, but also give another quick reminder that we are still looking for people to come forward and volunteer as admins for the ProjectCARS side of things in Front Row Racing, to try and make sure that racing can continue on into the future, because these most seasons have been pretty much absolutely amazing, and the last couple in these DTMs really have been quite exciting. So yeah, we do still need admins to come forward for that one. Places you can apply or look at joining the league on ProjectCARS or F1 is, for F1 definitely, is the Front Row Racing Facebook page. You can always get in touch with the Front Row Racing there, or for the ProjectCARS side of things, you can check out the Front Row Racing ProjectCARS community, as it is called, on a PlayStation Network. Just want to give a final thank you to James for his time and service in the commentary box. We did very, very well today to not talk about loads of random stuff, like how everything in the world should be free, and Casey still gives me grief about that one. But yeah, thank you very much for your time running the league and spent in the commentary box. And seeing as it is your last one, I shall leave it up to you to stop wolf whistling to the missus and say goodbye to everybody.
Well, for the final time.
Give me that microphone! Sorry.
For the final time, all I can say is I'm very, very proud of the final 2 seasons, which I was in charge of, and all I can say is it's been an absolute pleasure, especially for the action on screen. The past 2 seasons have been absolutely mind-boggling with the amount of overtakes and crazy driving and absolutely brilliant driving. It's just been an absolute pleasure to commentate on, and all I can say is thank you very much to DP for giving me the chance to be an admin, and yeah, thank you to all the viewers that have shown up and made this even better than it was before I turned up, and all I can say is as well, thank you very, very much to the drivers for putting an absolute effort in to turn up every week and put on an absolutely epic performance. I needed to get the word epic in there somewhere. And all I can say is thank you very much to everybody, and yeah, this is it, season 6, and good night from Front Row Racing JS and Front Row Racing DP.
Thank you very much.
See you soon. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, cheers.
As with all the drivers.
Putting the races on, mate.
Quick word before you go off air. I'd like to thank Richard GBM Vexel very much for a brand new steering wheel and all the time he spent with me setting up and racing through the week. He hasn't been about this week. I don't know where he is, so just like to thank you very much.
Okay, cheeky plug at the end. If you want a wheel, contact Vectra. No, it was a nice touch from there. But yeah, thank you everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the shows, and hopefully Front Row Racing ProjectCARS will continue into the future. Time for people to step up, take the reins, and see what they can do as well. This has been Front Row Racing ProjectCARS, from James, from me, from Star Wars to free. It's time to say goodbye.